Before we get to defining, a new version of masculinity, I want to pick up on what you mentioned in that you feel men and boys are lost. And I think that's true. And I'm wondering if it's because men and boys weren't necessarily given maybe what people call the soft skills to know how to talk about these things or how to think about these things or how to perceive themselves or get help about certain things. Like, I'm wondering if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that because I think we've had, so like our fathers, like my father, absolutely lovely man, but I think for him, our generation of men sort of, I guess generation of young people in, well, not just men, because, men have daughters. Um, and they are talking about their issues. They are talking about things. They are not necessarily answering back to their parents, but they know what they want and they make that very clear. So I think there's sort of been a gap where the men of older generation were raised by men that were stoic, that were breadwinners, that were, this stereotypical version of what a man is. And if they weren't shown the skills of what we require of men today, it's hard for them, one, to have those skills, but also then to impart those skills onto their children. And so,
Mm-hmm.
My dad was born in the 70s and women's rights and all of that.
The way
And,
you make me feel old.
um,
Okay, continue.
no, it's all right. It's all right. But yeah, so women's rights, and so everything was changing around that time. So maybe they weren't given the tools and the skills and the knowledge to be able to impart that onto their children, where I think that's now where our boys, our men are getting lost because their dads find it really hard to have these soft skills, to have this emotional intelligence, to, all right, just because you aren't the biggest earner in the house, that doesn't mean you can't clean the home. That doesn't mean you can't
Mm-hmm.
do childcare. And it's not helping out your wife, it's taking your responsibilities as a man. And that wasn't your dad's responsibilities to do childcare. But listen, two people work in the household now. We have this thing called the second shift where women are going out into the workplace and then coming home and doing childcare. And for them, I'm not saying it's a huge burden, but yo, it's long. Two jobs. I mean, people,
Physically, it is.
yeah,
Physically,
yeah,
it is. Yeah. And brain power
definitely.
wise, it is. Yeah, for sure. For
Exactly.
sure.
So that's where now our generation of men need to start developing these skills. And it's, I don't know where we're going to end up going. Like, I think, you know, when I'm a dad, I think I've been practicing a lot of these skills. So I'm going to be able to impart these onto my children. But
Mm-hmm.
there are men that haven't done the work to do that. So are they going to be parenting their children how their dad parented them?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. So I still think it's something where there might be still a bit of tension between what is a new man and what have I been shown.
Yeah. So let's go there. What do you think is the new, more enlightened version of masculinity?
So I think at the end of the day, you've just got to be a good human, right? You just got to be a good person. And what does being a good person means? I think it means being responsible. It means being accountable, having integrity, trying to live an honest life, trying to spread joy, spread light wherever you go. And some of those are the softer skills which as men we're maybe not good at in terms of talking about our emotions. We're going to talk about boundaries later, setting your boundaries clear. Do you know what your boundaries are? A lot of these questions which we never really had to think about, and maybe sometimes when you're communicating your boundaries, you've seen your dad communicate his boundaries in maybe an aggressive way, but maybe for your dad that was the only way he knew how to communicate his feelings. um and so I think a new man is someone that is being adaptable and being able to change with the ways, but also adding all of those soft skills to your arsenal. And I'm not saying that we don't need to be like and the thing is, I don't want to throw away what masculinity has been before, because it still serves a purpose now. I think as men, I think everybody can be leaders, but I think leadership is very associated with men, that's what our fathers were doing. That's what fathers before them were doing. Lead. That there's nothing wrong with that, but
Mhm.
you can lead in a way where you hear everybody's opinion and you make a
Right.
collective choice. That doesn't mean just because someone else is like, oh, I disagree with you, I think you're wrong on this. Okay, tell me why I'm wrong on this. Let's figure out a way in which we can do this, and then let's make a decision together. Some people be like, well, that's not leadership, but I think it is leadership, because you're able to pull together what everybody is thinking and make a decision that is best for everybody in that situation. And being a new man is embracing all those things. And it's not, and it's also, I think what one thing which I don't sort of, I keep mentioning Andrew Tate, but that's just because he's sort of the biggest figure out there really in all of
Yeah.
this. But we shouldn't be degrading our women. We shouldn't be saying women should be back in the kitchen and you need to take your rightful place as a man. And if you don't do this, you're not manly. If you don't do this, you're not manly. Like, come off it, mate. Come on. That is not a healthy discussion. That's not a healthy way to raise boys. We shouldn't be having a scarcity of women. We should be building each other up. Like, we're going to have a
Right.
much better world if we're building each other up. Listen, I think there's more women than men in the world. So you're not going to win that battle either way. So
Yeah.
why not try and bring us all together? And yeah, I don't personally, I don't see any value in treating people with less respect at all, because
Yeah.
it doesn't lead to better relationships. It doesn't lead to a better society either.